Hey guys, this is Odd here with our good friend Twice, and we're going to bring you today a Raizer deck profile.
Yep. So how's it going, guys? Obviously not out in English yet, but Set 17 coming out in a couple of days. Kind of just been playing around with Legion and really do like this deck. A little bit different in its playstyle, but because of some rulings that have been announced from Bushi Road, Cat Butler, it's become a lot more threatening in just the way that it plays. So we're just going to go right into it. Running Energy Raizer. I know that some people may not want to run this card. First of all, it is still a Raizer, which means that any card that gets a bonus from being in the same column as a Raizer is going to get a bonus from this thing. Its ability, though, is pretty useful. Counterblast 1 put into the soul. When an attack hits Vanguard during the battle, that it boosts. If your Vanguard's in Legion, which it pretty much always will be, pay the cost. Choose up to 2 of your Raizers and stand them. So very easy to just get off more attacks. It's a good pressure card. 5k booster. Just, yeah. Typically, though, you want to put this behind a rear guard because your Vanguard, you want the Vanguard booster. Or something like it. Anyway, triggers. Obviously, we're running 8 Raizer crits, Meteorizer, and Minimum Raizer. 4 heals, Raizer Girl Kate, of course, because we need our waifus. And then 4 draws, because draws are good. And then the other grade 0, the card that makes this deck completely ridiculous.
It really does.
This card got an official ruling along with Miss Mist. So his ability is to retire him at the beginning of the close step of the battle that your Vanguard attacked. If the attack did not hit, you pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your grade 2 or less Nova Grappler Vanguards and stand it. But because your Legion Vanguard will have a grade 2 on Vanguard, it applies to the entire Vanguard. So you can retire this unit if your attack does not hit and get a second Twin Drive for just that cost. And yeah,
And you can do this as many times as you have Cat Butlers on the field.
yeah, if you have 3 Cat Butlers on the field, you could potentially attack with your Vanguard 4 times.
Albeit you can only really hit once.
Yeah. But the thing is that because of the grade 3's ability, the passive crit, your opponent is probably going to guard the attack anyway. But we'll go into that later. So on to the grade 1s. Just going to scroll down. We have 2 Carving Raizer because good card in general for the deck. +2 to anything that's in the same column. He's essentially an 8k booster, which is really nice because I always think that that's something that...
Or a 10k booster in the case of Legion.
Legion, yeah. And so he kind of can take the place of the Legion booster as well. He's just an overall good card to put in any column. But the reason I run 2 of him more so is because the other cards for the grade 1s help more so to get the Legion than anything else. Then we have 3 Energy Charger, because in this deck the soul does not matter, and the faster you can get 4 cards in the drop zone, the faster you can get the Legion. Plus, he helps with hand control. He is a 5k booster, and yeah, you want to get to the Legion as quickly as possible, which is why
Plus, you don't really have a use for the soul otherwise.
Just an overall good card. He's right below Energy Charger. But just the same thing. Rest, drop, and draw. If I have another grade 3 in hand that I can ride and then re-Legion, why not get 4 cards back into the deck? 4 triggers or something like that. The Legion mechanic of getting things back into the deck really helps just the game in general. It really helps with the offense of the deck, more so. Over on the other side, we've got 2 Jet Raizer. Good card. He's like the Blank Marsh, I guess, of this deck. When he boosts an attack that hits Vanguard, counterblast 1, put him into the soul, and choose one of your Raizers and stand it. So, very good card. Just, he does what Nova Grappler does. 4 Twin Blader. The reason I don't run Shield Raizer is actually because, although the Quintet Wall wouldn't be that bad in this deck, and I understand that it can combo well with, a Legion, the Counterblast I actually kind of like to reserve for the secondary Legion, which is Phoenix Raizer Drillwing. He's one of the grade 3s at the bottom. Because his ability does cost 2 Counterblast, and I also like to use things like Energy Charger and Jet Raizer very consistently, so those Counterblasts I would still prefer to reserve for my other cards. And for Perfect Guards, it's never failed in the past, it won't fail me now. For grade 2s, we of course have our Flare Wings, because he looks amazing, and because 12k attackers especially in a deck where you can restand units and get the most benefit out of those 12k attackers, are always really good. Then we've got 4 Dual Flare over in the corner. Really good card for this deck. Unfortunately, it's only on the turn where you perform Legion, but he will guarantee that you get off another attack that can potentially hit the Vanguard. Just more pressure. He can bully a rearguard if you need him to, and he's a Raizer, so any card that gets a benefit from being in the same column as a Raizer, there you go. Then I have 2 Street Bouncer abilities that you can rest his column on the turn that you place him, and you can draw. Again, just helps with the drawing power of this deck. More so for the fact that because I only run 7 grade 3s, I need to make sure that I am getting them as consistently as possible. I used to run the grade 3 Searcher, but I don't know, I kind of didn't like it as much. I didn't like power, and I prefer Energy Raizer. But still, just kind of helping you to get cards into your hands, maybe, into the drop zone eventually. And then on to grade 3s, we have 3 Drill Wing at the top. Great card, great secondary Legion, counterblast 2 when he attacks. If he's in Legion, they cost. There's up to 2 rear guards in the front row that have a unit behind them. So they only have to have a unit in the back row. It doesn't matter if that unit is stood or rested. You can attack with that front row first and then completely restand it. So this is a very good card for this deck. And yeah, the 12k attacker is obviously his Legion. Plus his secondary skill is if you have a card in the same column as him, which means that when he's in Legion, he'll swing for 23 by himself. So with Carving Raizer, the 10k booster, he can swing for 33 every turn. Freaking awesome. And then we go down to the big badass of the deck, Ultimate Raizer Mega Flare. Honestly, this card's becoming one of my favorite cards just in general. Legion skill is that when he attacks, if there are 4 more rested units, and that includes the whole Vanguard. So if you have the Vanguard column rested, that's 3, and then 1 other rearguard rested, you get an extra critical when he attacks. Combo this with Cat Butler, and your opponent either takes 2 damage, or you're going to get to restand with Twin Drive again. So, amazing pressure with that extra crit. Secondary skill is that when his attack hits, if you have another unit with Raizer and its card name in the center column, doesn't matter if he's in Legion or not, which is good because you can use this card even before the Legions, you can stand one of your rear guards for no cost. That's what's really awesome about it. It's a free stand when you game. So, I've found this deck to be pretty consistent. I might play around more with the drop and draw kind of thing just to help get to Legion faster. Or maybe play around with some older Nova Grappler support, but ultimately, it is a very strong deck. I love Mega Flare as a Legion boss card. The Raizers in general are just really cool. So, Odd, anything you want to add necessarily?
Really all I just want to say is, while this deck is good, if Cat Butler didn't work the way it did, this deck would be nowhere near as good as it actually is.
And that's not saying that it's not good.
That's not saying that's not bad without him. It's just saying it wouldn't really stand up to things like Sinbuster or Saint Saver without it.
Yeah, just the fact that you have the potential to get another free stand, another free Twin Drive, is incredible. So it's what makes this deck very competitive, is that Cat Butler thing. And you do want to make sure that you're drawing those as consistently as possible. I might even put in 4 Cat Butlers, just because they're so necessary. But yeah, so that's the Raizer analysis. I understand that the deck is a little bit weird in its design, but again, I'm still kind of playing around with it. It's worked pretty consistently thus far, and it's really fun, actually, because there's a little bit of older Novas thrown in here, so it's a little bit nostalgic for me. Anyway, so thank you guys. Thank you, Odd, for hosting again.
No problem.
Very, very helpful. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile.
We'll see you again later.
Yep. Goodbye.